Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today we're going to talk about the LPS tool, the load performance and stress testing tool. I'm going to go through the documentation, which is available through GitHub. You can go to my and then /LPS tool to reach out to the tool, to the full documentation of this tool. So an overview of this tool is designed for load performance and stress testing of web applications. It gives you the flexibility to test different load testing behaviors, like, for example, performance testing, stress testing, durability testing, and so on. First of all, we are going to go through the installation of this tool. You will need to go to the versions folder and install the latest version. Inside the latest version, you will find, let me take this to my virtual machine. Navigate to the version 1.1.0, which is the latest version currently, and download the tool. So extract the tool. So the very first thing you need to do is to run this PowerShell. It's unnecessary, but that's going to help you to run the tool from any folder you would like to run the tool from, especially when you create plans and in a specific folder and you want to run those plans without having the tool in that specific folder. So the very first thing we need to do is we have to open the terminal as an admin. Okay. And then let's grab this command. Okay. Um, because most likely the script execution is going to be restricted. Okay. So you may need to set the execution policy to unrestricted or whatever going to work uh, on your computer. Okay. And then you can just revert as change after that to restricted by running the same query but using the restricted keyword. So I'm going to go to my virtual machine again, run the command, okay, and then run the environment script ps1. It's unrecognized because I'm not in that folder. Moving to the folder again. Clear it out and run script. Run once. Now, after we finish, it's important to set the execution policy to restrict it again. Okay. If that's not the first time you install this tool, okay, I would recommend you to go to the environment variables. Okay. I guess I have to update the script. Go to path. Make sure that you have the environment variable has been set. If you have a previous environment variable, just remove it. Okay. Now, one more thing is if you like, what you can do instead of running that script, you can come to the environment variables immediately, okay, and take the folder where you have installed, where you have downloaded or where you have placed the tool, and just paste it immediately. Okay, click OK, okay, and now you're ready. Okay, let's try to run the tool. Let's take one of the quick examples that we have here. As you can see, the tool is running and you can start watching your load test results. Okay, you can get back to the command line, click Ctrl C. This way you're pausing, you're canceling the test. So as you can see, the execution status is failed. That's because we have canceled this while the test is running. So the request that was ongoing has been terminated, and that's considered a failure. Okay, now Let's take a look at now that's all about the installation. Okay, let's take a look about the iteration. Let's take a look at the iterations mode concept. So the iteration mode concept, or this feature actually enables you to simulate real life scenarios. We have 5 iteration modes. First of all, we have the CP iteration mode, which is the cooldown batch size, meaning that you can run a test like forever. The test theoretically can run forever with batches and cooldowns, meaning that you can say, I want to run this. I want to run 5 requests every 1 second, for example, or 1,000 requests every 5 seconds, whatever. Okay. The second one is CRV cooldown request batch size. Same like the above, but here you can set the max amount of requests. You can say that I want to run a test of 10,000 requests, 1,000 requests every 1 second. Okay. The duration, you can run a test for 5 minutes, for example, request at a time. DCB is a duration cooldown batch size. You can run a test for 5 minutes with batches, okay, and cooldown, meaning like a test for 5 minutes with a batch size of 1,000 requests and cooldown of 20 seconds. Request count, you can run, for example, 1,000 requests, 1 request at a time. Same what we have done a few minutes ago by running 1,000 requests using the quick test example. You can run this tool on Mac or Linux, but you need to do some further steps. You need to download or install the .NET Runtime for Mac or Linux. You can run the application using the .NET command, okay? And you have to do it like .NET, LPS, DLL, and then the command that you want to run, okay? And this example, okay, let's imagine that you're running this on Mac, okay? So you have to say .NET LPS .dll, okay? And then command that you want to run. So we can take an example on, I don't think I have any Linux. I have a Linux machine. Now, so we cannot run the test, but that's how we do it. .NET lbs.dll. Then, because the default command is lbs, we're not going to add it. You immediately go with the arguments here for the parameters. If it was like we're going to come through the other commands in a bit, for example, .NET lbs.dll, you can say run. We have a run command, okay? And then we start with the argument, for example, test name. Okay, give it the test name that you already defined, for example, test one. Okay, and that's it. That's in Linux. But if you're on, that's for Linux and Mac. But for Windows, you can say only lbs run dash test name. I guess I have hello. Just to check. Yeah, I have this one, hello lbs. Just have to rename it. You can say hello lbs. Okay, as you can see, it's running. And from here, we can see we are opening a dashboard. This dashboard is a dashboard that we have developed to help you. It's a modern dashboard to help you watch the major metrics that you would need as performance. So here you can see the endpoints that you're testing. You can run the endpoints in parallel or sequentially, as we are seeing here. We are running this, and then we will be running this. This one is ongoing. You can see the average response time here for your test, the throughput, and the KPIs. Now, you might be wondering why the throughput is 0. This is because the endpoint is not returning 200 response codes. So the throughput is 0. It's not really calculated. Okay. You can see the average response time. You can see the max response time. You can see the percentile response time, P90, P50, and P10. The percentile is a way to calculate how many samples under a specific percentage. When you say P90, this means that 90%. So here we have the P90 as 150. So this tells us that 90% of our requests has completed with less than or equal 150 milliseconds. Okay. Let's get back to our documentation. Here are like the options that we have for a quick test. Okay. We have the test name, specifies the test name. For example, you can run a quick test and give it a test name. You can define the number of clients that you want to run your plan. We're going to come and talk about the plans in a different video, okay? But every client, okay, every client. So if you say that you want 5 clients to run your applications, your test plan, sorry, with or 5 virtual clients with a ramp up period between them 1000 seconds. This means that 1000 milliseconds, sorry. This means that every 1 second you will have a virtual user coming in, start performing the test based on the plan that you have defined. Okay, we're gonna come and talk about the plans in a bit. Okay, here's the ramp up period between the clients. Okay, you may delay the client creation until needed, meaning that you don't load all the clients that you want in memory immediately after you start executing the test. Instead, you can wait until that client is needed and you create it, or you let the LPS tool create it at that time. So run in parallel, you can execute all the tests you define. So let's get back to our virtual machine. Where is it? Here is it. Okay. So as you can see here, we have multiple endpoints we are testing. You can run this test in parallel. We have the URL, definitely the URL that you need to that you provide to our LPS tool. It's the destination endpoint that you want to test against. The HTTP method, post, head, whatever the headers, you can provide a name to your run. Okay, if we get back here to our virtual machine, sorry. Okay, you can provide a name for each test that you are running. So for those are each of those is a run in LPS. So this one, okay, hello run example one, hello run example one is the name of this HTTP run. Hello run example two is the name of the HTTP is the name of the HTTP run is the name of the second HTTP run. Iteration mode, as we explained here, you can define the iteration mode. So for example, for this run, okay, we have selected to, for this endpoint, which is like https www.example.com, we are performing like a duration based test. We're running the test like for 5 minutes. For this one, okay, I believe I defined it to run based on request count, meaning running 1000 requests, for example. Okay, I can double check from here actually. Let me go open it up and see what did we define here. Here are like the runs that we have. We have LPS request profile, the HTTP method, URL payload. We don't have a payload here. We have hello header. It's an empty header, unfortunately. Let's have the other options. Okay, mode is 3. Okay, 3 is duration. Here, like mode is 4. Okay, so the 4 for the other one, mode is 4. So 4, I guess, is sorry, 4 is the duration and 3 is the request count. So as you can see here, like the mode is 4 and we only define the duration here. Okay, mode 3 request count. So this is the R mode, and the 3 is the R mode and 4 is the duration mode. So based on the mode, you have to give other arguments. For example, if it's request count mode, iteration mode, you have to provide the request count. If it's duration, you have to provide the duration. If it is DCB, for example, duration, cooldown, duration, cooldown, batch size, you have to provide the duration, the batch size, which is PS, and the cooldown. Okay. So here's the request count, duration, and batch size. And here's like the cooldown time. Okay. You can also provide the HTTP version that you want to test with. Okay. And you have the option to save the response. I do not recommend that, honestly, to not overload your machine. You can also download the HTML embedded resources if you are testing like a web application. Sorry, and you want to download the embedded resources, like for example, during the test, for example, the CSS, JS, and whatever, you can do that. But I also do not recommend that unless you have a powerful machine running the test. Payload, in case you need to send the payload with post, put, patch method, you can do that. So we have the subcommands. Okay, I guess I have to talk about them in a different video, but quickly you can create a plan. Okay, you can add HTTP runs to each plan, and then you can run the test. You can add multiple HTTP runs for each plan. Quickly getting back here, I've created here like multiple HTTP runs for my plan. My plan name here is Hello LPS. With number of clients, five virtual clients are going to be running this plan. With ramp-up period 4 milliseconds, which does not make sense. For example, for thousands milliseconds, 4 seconds between each client. And if you want it just to be like all of them coming, all the virtual clients coming with each other, you can define it to 1 milliseconds, for example. But usually they do not come. There are cases definitely where they come with each other. 4,000 milliseconds, meaning that every client will start running the plan after 4 seconds from the previous client started running the test. Here's the delay client creation that we talked about. Run in parallel is false, meaning that we will run the first HTTP. Let's take this to Notepad+. Yeah, we don't have it here. We can take it here, to okay. Here's like it's the same plan. So here we have this is the first HTTP run, and this is the second HTTP run. Okay. So we have two HTTP runs. So run in parallel false means that we will run this HTTP run first, meaning running the load test against the www.example.com/2, and then we will start running it to against www. If you say true, this means that every client will be running both HTTP runs at the same time, will be executing both HTTP runs at the same time, where it's going to send 450 requests against HTTPS www.example.com/2, okay, and will be running the test against example.com for 5 minutes, 300 seconds. Okay. You have options like loggers. You can define your own logger, okay, where you want to see logs. For example, if there's a failure, if you want to review the test results, you can take a look at the logs. You have the option to configure your HTTP client, meaning that you are able to control the virtual client. We're going to talk about this in more details and in a different video, definitely. And you have the very helpful watchdog feature, which enables you to limit, okay, the resource usage of the LPS tool, meaning you can say that if there is like more than 1,000 requests going in parallel, this means that we have network latency post the test cooldown until, okay, you have the number of requests, for example, that are ongoing is than 100. Okay, so you can define the threshold and the cooldown value. Okay, so for example, you can define the max memory in MB, okay, saying if the LPS tool is taking more than 1 GB, pause until the number of bytes that it's using is less than 300 MB, okay, for example. You can define the max memory MB, okay, and the cooldown memory MB. Okay, the max memory MB is the limit where you pause the test until, okay, the tool resource usage reaches the cooldown memory MB. You have the max memory MB, max CPU. You can limit the resource usage based on memory, CPU, and max concurrent connections per host name. Okay, so for example, and every how long you retry. Okay, meaning that if your tool, your LPS tool is using now 1 GB, and you are cooling down. Okay, then every how long you want the LPS tool to retry. Okay, if you say, for example, retry after 5 seconds, and the LPS tool finds that it's still using more than, it's still above the cooldown value, okay, it will not resume the test until it reaches that value. Okay, you have the suspension mode, which is all or any. For example, if any of the memory or CPU or the max concurrent connections is exceeded, okay, you have the option to pause the test, or the all, which means that all of them have to exceed their thresholds. So you pause the test. We will talk about each feature in different video. Now I'm just going through the tool very quick here to just introduce the tool for you. We have the help command, definitely. I showed you as well as the plans, which you can manually handle them, not necessarily through the commands. I also introduced the dashboard that gives you like a lot of, or at least the main statistics or main metrics that you need to watch your load test. Okay, meaning that we can go through. Let's get back here to our virtual machine. Okay. Again, we have the throughput, we have the average response time, we have response breakdown, okay, like how many 200 you got, how many 201, for example, how many 202. It gives you the request count, active request count, how many active request count while you're just watching your test, the success request rate and the failed request rate. You have the average response time, min response time, max response time, percentile or percentile 90 or P50 and P10. Uh, Metrics, you have the request rate and per second. And if you also have defined one of the cooldown iteration modes, it's going to give you the request count per cooldown as well. Okay. Definitely, you also have the endpoints page, which is going to list all the endpoints with their statuses, which one is ongoing, which one is completed, which one is failed, which one is cancelled, for example, and so on. That's all for today. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We'll also have dedicated videos for each of the features to talk more. We're also going to have interesting features coming soon, where we're going to have control flow, system, and test rounds. Appreciate your time. Try the tool, come with a feedback, and have a nice day, everyone.